Good morning, guys. All right, so markets are still gapping down just a touch. What do I look for in a good breakout? A break of my pivot, a pickup in volume, it being in a leading group, and the market acting well. The market that I'm trading, not just the generic market QQQ or S&P 500, unless, of course, I'm trading a tech-related name. I would want to see tech acting well. Yeah, Baba, Billy, Baidu holding well. You get a little bit of a gap up in them today. Kind of a shame this thing closed so weak yesterday. But nothing I can do about that. Yeah, Billy, Baidu. They're not going to make some of these things easy, but they are outperforming the S&P 500. TSCM looks really good. NVT, this also looks good. This was on my watch list yesterday. Yeah, I think this inside day on NVT looks great. $470 for SNDK at one point. Yeah, I was trading a margin account, and I started as a day trader, and that's where I made the biggest percent gain. I think A-Lab looks good. In fact, I like the small little gap down in A-Lab. It's not something where I'd say is a meaningful gap down. I think it's holding in there pretty well. USAR, you entered this thing yesterday. Yeah, very nice. I was watching this thing right in the morning too, and I just didn't take it. NNE looks good. Let's take a look. NNE, Oklo. I don't know about all that. I mean, maybe. No, this doesn't look that great to me. SMR. No. I mean, it might look good to you. I just don't really see the setup in NNE. VRT, now this looks good. VRT looks good. APLD looks pretty good. AMD's interesting. You can't really ignore that price action. You get the market gap down. It was just like it did down here, right? You get the gap down and then you just get bought up all day, right? You get the gap down and then you get bought up all day. And it was a very nice reversal from about that $203 level roughly. And then it's just been strong ever since. You get the gap down and then you just get bought up basically all day. What do I think of laggards like AOI? I mean, it's not acting much like a laggard anymore. We've been moving a whole heck of a lot cleaner here on this right-hand side, and you could see the volume that's coming into this thing. So there's somebody in here accumulating, and we're doing a really nice job tightening up on the right-hand side, considering what this name actually has traded like in the past, right? Super, super choppy. And, we're starting to clean up here. It's starting to look a whole hell of a lot better. Silicone Motion. Yeah, kind of looking like a high type flag, but Little loose here. Last 2 months are down like 10%. So if you're losing so many trades, I think one of the things you have to focus on is your position sizing. And then maybe taking a few less trades. I've kind of been taking a lot of trades myself. So I'm also down, so don't be, don't be too discouraged if you are down. It's been kind of a challenging environment. But one of the things you kind of have to do. Hey, buddy, you all right? You got the itchies? One of the things you have to do is you got to size down. You have to use progressive exposure. Progressive exposure and position sizing are the two things that are going to keep you out of harm's way. If you're just every single day piling into something and with full size, like a 10% position, that's not going to help you. Yeah, SSRM, not the strongest in the group. It's gapping up today, almost like it's trying to break out. I don't know how I feel about a name just trying to break out at this point. And my NEM will get some more trims today too. Yeah, I would initiate new positions in this environment. BE for me personally should have been bought through the 50. Didn't do that, so I wouldn't be buying this up here personally because there's nothing tight about this chart at the moment. Baidu, I wouldn't buy this one because it's far too choppy for me. But Baba, I would consider adding two trades a little bit more or a little less gappy. But yeah, I would initiate new positions in this environment. It just depends what. Yeah, these energy names are gapping up. Yeah, SEB. I don't know about trading any $4,800 stocks, but yeah, AEVA looks interesting. I mean, I'd hope this thing could just build a little longer, but I think it looks pretty dang good. SEI just has a nice flat base breakout. I mean, it's in the right group at the moment, so and it's gapping up just a little bit. We got one to keep an eye on. I don't know that I'm going to be buying this one personally because I already own XOM. And as much as I just want to sit there in XOM and do absolutely nothing, I'm getting pretty close to trimming off a small little piece. I'm maybe just 10% of my initial shares or something like that. So I want to be as patient as possible as I can with this name, but I've been in there a month and I haven't trimmed it at all. So, at some point, I do have to pay myself. COHR. These, I want to say this is one of the optic related names. They all acted really well yesterday, like even LITE just right off the 50-day. Very, very nice. And then market gaps down and this thing's gapping up. So tons of strength. Cypher stopped you out on Friday. Yeah, this one's been how did Cypher stop you out on Friday, if you don't mind me asking? Because this thing acted pretty well all day. So I bought Cypher on Friday. I added to it on yesterday, and then on the close, I let those go. Or really, in this little washout, I let my ads go. I tried LEU yesterday. Now that one was, rough. Yeah, I tried this one yesterday. I got stopped out. So I don't know that IONQ's on the table for a long personally. There's going to be some tough price action with QBTS because of the offering. So they just did an offering yesterday. So I don't know that I would be trading that at the moment. Yeah, I journal my trades. Do I back test? Not really. I mean, I've looked at a gazillion charts. It's about all the back testing I've done, but actually back testing a flat base breakout when I know environments, what helps that flat base breakout work. How much time do I put into that stuff? So the only way you really can back test is if you track all of your trades. So I would start there. And then you got to go through the setups that you actually like to trade. Like what setups resonate with you? Earnings gap ups, high volume closes, high type flags, right? Like what setups are you actually familiar with? No, for beginners, I don't recommend wider stops or 20% positions. Neither. For beginners, I recommend less risk, not more. Have any short opportunities caught my eye? I should have gotten more aggressive on the short side when I was shorting Netflix. Like I noticed the weakness in Oracle because I actually tried longing this right here. And then the market was green. I remember these 2 days, and this thing was down both days. And I ended up cutting this thing, while the market was basically at highs and this thing was rolling over. And I probably could have shorted this thing back through the 50-day. And not only that, this was like in October. And then not long after, I'm shorting Netflix, right? Right in, was this November 18th, November 19th. So I could have gotten a little bit more aggressive, and even MSTR, right? MSTR, I tried shorting on September 18th. And then, not long after, October 7th was the best spot to short. So October, November, those were really, and even maybe early December, that was the best time to start shorting some software. And yeah, even recently, AppLovin, right? I tried shorting this little bear flag, what I thought was going to be a bear flag breakdown. You just get your move down, you get your consolidation. I started to short this, and then I got squeezed out the next day, only for it to hit the declining 20 and then really roll over. So it sucked because I lost money, but the idea was right. So yeah, names have been kind of on my radar on the short side. I just haven't executed them the best outside of, Netflix. And then early October, I shorted a nugget on this extension in here. And that was in October. I shorted UAMY, but I covered this one pretty poor. I shorted this on the parabolic move. And then I covered it, I want to say here, only to then watch it break down a whole hell of a lot further. And then I shorted, was it Rigetti, I want to say. Rigetti from 55. And my final covers were, I had 35, and then I reshorted 36 or 37. So not too bad. Was there another one that I had on the short side that was pretty good? I think that might have been it. Oh, yeah, Oklo. This 146. So really, and this was late October. So really, a lot of stocks have given short opportunities. But, once I started covering some of this speculative stuff into weakness, I didn't continue to short, unfortunately, the software names. And I probably could have done that a whole lot better. Like NOW, this thing would have been good to short against the 200. Yeah, could have done that a whole lot better. And NOW was one I shorted right in here. After this earnings gap down, you just had a little bear flag, and then you had the bear flag breakdown. Very simple setup. And I remember I got my last piece stopped out right in here after, the market started to turn back up. So, yeah, it's been, there's been some good opportunities out there. Yeah, I'm watching LITE. I don't see anything at the moment unless you bought it against the 50 yesterday. Cypher would have been against the 50. Galaxy and Hut, I think both are acting pretty well. I don't really see a spot on Galaxy at the moment.
I was watching these nuclear stocks, and Trump says U.S. is going heavy into nuclear energy.
Trump says we're going heavy into nuclear energy. Yeah, I think Hut looks good. Hut looks like a nice little, potentially a little high type flag setting up. I like to look at my win rate. That's, I kind of like to make sure I'm keeping that on par over the course of the year, but my average loss, have I tracked how many times not keeping a position you entered on the day turned out to be the right decision? Oh yeah, yeah. I've definitely done that before. I did it once with Amazon recently last year. Right, I bought this thing right in here. It's like what I thought was a setup that was turning back up, and then it just closed terribly. And then the next day it gapped up on me. I did the same thing with, was it Soxel? Right in here, same exact look on Amazon, and then just didn't close well. And then the next day it gapped up and it was gone. Any thoughts on UEC? Yeah, there's no setup. Where's the tightness? Right, it's just gone. I mean, it's nice to see them going up, but it's just gone. Yeah, Scotland, I'm kind of on the same boat. So the way I kind of look at it, like let's just say you're trading with $1,000,000. Like if I had, $500,000-600,000 open in long positions, I would want to have similar, $400,000 to $600,000 in short positions. That's kind of how I would think about it, as long as they all have roughly the same average daily range. But, I look at the chop that I've dealt with recently, and I definitely did not have enough hedged on the short side, which is unfortunate. I've been stopped out of so much stuff on the long side. It's just kind of disgusting, right? Like Reddit, I dealt with some chop. ALAB initially, I dealt with chop when I first bought it. Even recently, Baba, where I bought this thing 159 yesterday. I'm like, here we go. Here comes the round trip. It's closing week. I take off half. This morning, it's gapping back up. So, yeah, I would say running like a balanced book, right? Then that way, I know I do have a good enough hedge. Like having some short cues and it just being like one of the 4 positions you have open, for me wouldn't feel like enough, because if you get a gap down, like, and all of your tech related names, even though I don't think you'd probably own a bunch of tech related names, but if you did, your Q short isn't going to cover, especially considering how slow the Qs actually are. So for me, it's just like making sure that the names that I am short, watching the names that I actually am short, that they have a similar average daily range, that I have enough similar money allocated to both sides of the market. At least that's what's kind of worked for me. And then I even think about, that Netflix trade and how many small paper cuts it's made up along the way, just because it's actually been such a nice trade. But yeah, that's a good question. That's something to definitely think about, maybe moving forward too. When it's time to hedge, how much of it. But Scotland too. The other thing is I really do treat the short side, as progressive exposure. I just did a really shitty job. Like I shorted Netflix, and then I was just getting chopped up on both sides of the market, because here I am watching the IWM still try to work its way higher, the Q still quote unquote VCP, and I'm trying to get long because I'm seeing memory names, I'm seeing rocket stocks, I'm seeing the metals, I'm seeing industrials, I'm seeing the metals and mining group work so well that I'm like, I don't really see a reason to be negative except on just software. So like I didn't do a good enough job like using progressive exposure on the software side to get more short. And that was just, kind of a mistake. Like in hindsight, right, you go and get more. We talked about NNE just a moment ago. that Trump news might actually help. We're going heavy into nuclear. There's a new all-time high for CCJ. I'll never forget this one. I used to have 50,000 shares at $24, and I took, one of the bigger losses percent-wise of my career. Have you started to scan for potential shorts? Yeah, they'll just hit your radar. Like as you're scanning for potential, names that have been just digesting for the last several months that might be going through late stage bases. There's a lot of names at the moment, whether it be something like Uber. This looks like this can break down, right? Something like DoorDash. This looks like it could, break down some more, especially any pops back against the 200. You look at AVGO. This looks pretty dang disgusting. Looks like it could very well go lower. What's good material? Short selling with the O'Neill Disciples isn't bad, by Gil Morales. Yeah, but it's a whole lot harder, Milo. I kind of have been on the same mentality, like when silver and gold crack. But in the meantime, I just had a stress-free short, with Netflix under the 200. And then I tried to be short silver, the silver junior miners. And I just took the biggest trade, the biggest loss that I've taken in over 12 months. So, I mean, it's not that big a deal because I did a really nice job not taking any big losses last year, but I just took the biggest loss over in the last 12 months. So being short something, expecting it to finally crack. And it didn't. So I think TSM looks good. I think SCI looks good. The energy related names I think look awesome. So that's actually the reason why you trim. Let's say you're up 30, 40%, which by the way is a really nice winner, and just trailing and it's slowly falling over a few days. So if I'm trailing, right, then that's the whole idea of trailing. You're using a ascending moving average to trail. So the real question is, how much are you willing to watch go back to be able to hold on the ascending 10-day or the ascending 20-day? Can you go over when you went into your Netflix short? Yeah. So I was watching this thing show relative weakness, basically while the market was still going higher. So July, August, September, this thing's doing nothing. So all of a sudden, you get this failure of you lose the 200-day on earnings. That's bearish. You try to reclaim and you fail it one more time. And then you try to reclaim again. And then the next day you get the subtle gap down. This is where I put my starter on. And then this is where I added on the pop back into the 20-day. And I was using the 20-day as my guide, because I already had like $111 average at this point. And then you get the breakdown, and the trade was basically done from there. I didn't get covers until I want to say a piece at 93. I could kind of go over, let me see. Netflix. So I had covers at short on the 19th, 2 shorts on the 20th, covers on the 1st of December. Oh, no, excuse me. Shorts on the 1st of December, excuse me. Covers on the 8th. Covers on the 11th. And then I didn't cover again until January 9th. And then I didn't cover more until the 13th. And then I didn't cover more until the 14th. And then I covered some more last night at 83. So now we're at 81. I'm basically done with the trade. You're in CCJ since 93. All right, John Smith, I'll work on that, brother. Yeah, nice job on CCJ. I bought CCJ on, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember where the hell I bought CCJ. I also bought CCJ. Let's see. September 9th. Right here. Didn't work that long. At least not for me anyway. Yeah, the metals names are interesting. Metals names look interesting. Yeah, Fernando. I tend to agree with that sentiment after kind of taking a loss on it. But once you get too extended from the 50-day, there is a setup there. Greenland is part of North America. It's our territory. All right, beautiful. And I have had some success with parabolic shorts. So, I don't just want to, one of the fastest and biggest trades that I've had, MSTR was a super short for me into this parabolic. SMCI was another one that I've had that was awesome for me. All stocks kind of do the same thing. They'll go vertical and eventually, they'll come crashing back down to earth. So what do I think about IONQ? I mean, it's okay, but not great at the moment. TE. Yeah, TE's acting awesome. Do I think? No, I actually think day trading, kind of formed a lot of bad habits, especially, being patient. So I think it formed a lot of bad habits that you got to learn to break. Everybody gets so, antsy to make money right now that kind of, can lead to some issues. No. Would I trade? No. I mean, I wouldn't personally. I don't think this thing has any liquidity for me. I mean, you're asking if I would trade it so that you could trade it? IMSR? Is this terrestrial energy? Is that what you're looking at? No, not one I would trade. ROST a short candidate. Raw stores? No. No, this isn't any extended from the 50 at all, and it's just in a steady uptrend. You bought Oklo on the reclaim of the 50? So you just bought it, like right in here? How do I use COT data again? So yeah, I learned it from Jason Shapiro. Basically, the gist without going into too much of the weeds, you're basically looking for when positioning is crowded on one side of the market. And then you're looking for what's called a news failure. So let's just say everybody was long the, let's say, S&P 500 or NASDAQ, right? And then once you get a piece of news that you would deem to be good for the NASDAQ, but then it closes at the lows of the day and you have a bunch of long positioning, that's exactly when you short. Highs of day is when you would cover. And it would have everything to do with positioning. COMP, and then you also have this HOUS. I don't think this HOUS is trading anymore. No, it's not. If I had to screen just to get some of the better stocks in front of me, let me see if I could help you with that. So I would want to, personally, I would want to scan for stocks over $1 billion that are trading at least 2 million shares a day, that their 52-week low is, or that their current price is 70% above the 52-week low, maybe over $7 to $10 a share, and then over the 50 simple moving average. And that'll put some pretty great names in front of your face. Like the HYMC long before it made a huge move, your SanDisk, your ONDS, APLD, IREN, Bloom Energy, PL, Cypher, TE, WDC. I went through this on the video the other day. Yeah, Werewolf. Yep. Yeah, I was about to say, you got to watch the video I did the other day. I posted it on YouTube. It's on X as well, so you can't miss it. Well, I don't know about the last 3 months, but yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. I mean, my XOM will end up paying me. I will have really not been I didn't really make money in December, and I'm down in January. So I know a lot of people are crushing it to start the year, not me. And not like I'm down a ton or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it's been a little bit tougher for me. It's been a little bit choppier. Do I have a video on shorting? No, I'm sure I could make one, but I don't at the moment. So on what purpose do you journal? No, I don't manually put in anything. I just copy my trades from my broker and I import them. But I do like to look at, I like to look at very simple stuff. What my win rate is. I don't really find profit factor to be too important to me anymore. What my hold time looks like, how quickly it is that I'm cutting my losers, where it is that I actually took the trade, what time of the day, so I can kind of go back and review the market in the group at the time that I took it, what my sort of entry tactic was that I used to get into it, right? If I notice I'm buying first thing in the morning and I keep getting stuffed, but the afternoon reclaim entries are working, then that's something that I'll focus on a little bit more. AMD, man, what a beast of a chart. So yeah, I like to look at a lot of other things to kind of help me figure out, if the market's still going higher, are my entry tactics just wrong? Yeah, you can definitely adjust the parameters to that scan. You could track all your trades by pen and paper, man. You just want to, like, how do you improve if you don't track your trades is what I would say. Right? You need to track your trades in order to improve. If you don't track your trades, it's hard to know exactly what it is you're doing wrong. You're kind of just flying by the seat of your pants. You're just like, oh, I'm not trading well, I'm losing money. Okay, but what names are you trading? How much size are you putting on? What time of the day are you buying them? What entry tactics are you using to get involved? Where are you setting your stops? Right? All those little things matter. What groups are you trading? If you don't know and you're just like haphazardly taking trades, that's not going to help you. When cutting a loser fast, but how quickly is too quick to take a loss? Is a 1% too quick to take a stop loss? No, I like to make sure that I'm respecting my stop loss level. So like if my stop is low of day, then I'll respect low of day. There are caveats to that at the moment, which is if the stock's not closing well, I'll just get rid of it at flat, basically. So that is something that I will definitely think about. Right? I don't want to just start cutting names too quickly. Try your best to respect your stops. Man, this market's choppy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily believe every person, but I've seen a lot of people that I follow on social media, claiming that they're trading well. So yeah, I don't know. I try not to compare myself to anybody else, dude. I really don't care if somebody else is crushing it. If I'm not trading well, I still have to kind of make sure that I keep my position sizing in check. I still have to use progressive exposure. I kind of got to stay within my own lane because my own lane has worked for years, and I'll be just fine. But the reality is how do I get involved? How much money do I put into work at one time? I do see, some people saying that they've crushed it, and I'm happy for them. But I don't ever, sit there and say, "Oh my God, XYZ person is killing it. I need to, start stepping it up and trading bigger size to catch up or something." Right? I'm never going to be the guy that performs best every single year. It's just not going to happen. No, I didn't get stopped out of Baba yesterday. I cut half my position in Baba yesterday. So yeah, I thought this bounce was good, and then we started to close on lows. I let go of half my position, and now we're gapping right back up. So I still do have some shares, just maybe not enough. Yeah, and the VCP is one of the setups that I like to trade, and the Scotland fish hook is another one, and Amit Rai high volume close is another one, and Gil Morales double top short sale and undercut and rally are the other ones. And a flat base breakout Pat Walker style, and a low cheat setup like Mark Minervini, and a nice high type flag or falling wedge like Dan Zanger. Guys, I didn't make up any of the setups that I trade. I stole them from some of the very best traders ever. Right? Or momentum bursts like Pradeep. And I listened to what Kulamagi was saying, and I combined it with his timing and understanding of group strength, to kind of make sense of it all. Like I said, I didn't do anything. Oh, you're at 26 per average. Yeah, I'm about there. Some months I'm a little bit more, 30. Some months I'm a little bit less, 20. GH, I think GH looks really good. GH, GRAL, GMed. I think these names look pretty good. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just telling you, what works, and I learned it from somebody else because it worked for them. Am I an AMD? No. I kind of should have bought that oops reversal down at like 202, 203. But hindsight's 2020. You got in UAMY and USAR? Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, my XOM's right out to new highs. My NEM is doing just fine. Probably going to get a few more trims today. Cypher's cool. Punch Bowl of Death. URG. Well, it'd have to get out to highs. It's too cheap, though. Yeah, URG, it's just too cheap of a name. The setup is fine, but oh yeah, FIGR was awesome. FIGR on the 2nd. What a move. Yeah, Bros looks, not too bad. I mean, at least the very right-hand side of this base is tightening up. IWM. Yeah, tons of strength within the Russell. Nice to see the stock market bouncing back just a little bit. How to identify tips on how to identify stocks that are, I'm assuming you meant ready. Stock the names like VRT, but I don't know when they're ready and should be added to the Well, you have to first understand the setup, the technical setups that you like to trade, right? What is your playbook, right? If you don't know your playbook, how do you know they're ready? You have to have studied, like go back and study some of the biggest moves over the last 4 years, right? What are the technical setups that you like to trade? Okay, this is a flat base breakout. Let me look at the biggest winners over the last 4 years. Find flat base breakouts. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is when it went on to work. What group was it in? Were there stocks within that group also acting well at the time that thing broke out? And what would have been my entry on it? What did it look like technically? What was the group in the market doing in the moment that this thing broke out? So those are all little things that you kind of have to put together, and it doesn't just happen overnight. So in order to know that they're ready, you have to know the setup that you like to trade. If you don't know the setup that you like to trade, then you're just like looking at some candlesticks on a chart and you don't know what compression looks like. You don't know how to identify a really strong group. You don't know how to identify a clean technical setup or a leading technical setup, right? Those are important. Otherwise, you're just looking at candlesticks on a chart. USAR, yeah. I mean, we'll see if these things go on to work. If he's basically saying, "Hey, we're not gonna take over Greenland violently," and there's going to be some kind of who knows what these rare earth stocks do. We'll see. All right, guys. Much love. Trade them well today. Time to get stream started. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Some great questions today. Do I watch all your 5-6 stocks on a 5-minute chart in a single screen along with volume? No, I keep only 4 stocks up that I think are buyable on my main screen. I keep other stocks that are on my radar to, just keep an eye on my other screen. I keep futures markets on the chart screen above me, and then I keep charts that move the market on my screen to the left. So, yeah, I've got quite a few screens I'm looking at, but the most actionable names, I keep them right in front of my face. Anyway, guys, much love. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Later.